Deep inside a desert cave on the planet Zelnara, an old alien monk moved slowly through the shadows. His three-fingered hands brushed dust off an ancient stone tablet. He had searched his whole life for this. Now, he had finally found it. The tablet glowed faintly as he whispered the old words. Lines of forgotten language lit up in red. His eyes widened. His voice shook. The stars will burn. The sky will fall. The last war will come. And death will fear them. He dropped to his knees. He knew these words. They were from the prophecy of the end flame, a warning spoken over 10,000 years ago by the first Starwalkers. The enemy described in the prophecy had no name. It was simply called the final threat. Born from fire, raised by war, feared, even by death. The monk looked up at the stars through the cave's roof. There is only one species this could be now, he whispered. Humans. The galaxy reacts. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. On the cold world of Tyrex, a deep-sea scanner picked up a signal, an ancient beacon that hadn't activated in centuries. It repeated one phrase. The last war begins. The humans have come. On the forest moon of Varlus, glowing symbols appeared on temple walls, symbols that only appeared when the prophecy awakened. Priests screamed. Some fainted. Others called emergency councils. The oldest species in the galaxy, the Drevel, the Kor, the Valerie, began sending secret messages to each other. The prophecy is moving. The time is near. One voice echoed louder than all. Elder Krell of the Kor Empire said, "If the prophecy is true, we must stop the humans before it's too late." Humanity, still unaware back on Earth, humans were still exploring the galaxy like excited children. Colonies were growing, trade was spreading, music and culture were reaching other planets. But they had no idea that the galaxy had started to fear them. Captain Reyna Torres of the Earthship Horizon Blade stood at the edge of a new star system. She smiled as her crew scanned a new planet, rich with life. "Mark it for survey," she said. "Let's bring hope to another world." They didn't know that just hours ago, a secret alien council had voted to label humanity as a threat. The secret council on a massive hidden space station called the Core. 12 alien leaders met in darkness. They had ruled in secret for thousands of years, watching the galaxy, controlling peace. Now they were afraid. High Lord Cerex of the Drevel stood up. "We have seen their strength. Their planets are deadly. Their bodies adapt. Their minds create. And they do not fear war." Another elder growled. "They were born on a death world. They conquered themselves. And now, they reach for the stars." The room fell silent. "They match the signs of the final threat," Cerex continued. "The same signs written in the ancient texts. A vote was taken. It was not close. Result: humanity must be stopped." A shadow falls that night across space. Strange events began. A human research outpost on the edge of the galaxy lost contact. A cargo ship vanished near core space. A human diplomats meeting was suddenly canceled for security reasons. Earth noticed, but they didn't know the truth yet. Only one message escaped from the missing outpost just before it went silent. "They're watching us. They know. And they're afraid." The Core, a huge space station floating in the darkness between stars, was filled with quiet tension. 12 leaders from different alien worlds sat around a long, glowing table. Each face showed worry, but no one spoke at first. They had gathered in secret to decide the future of the galaxy. High Lord Cerex, a tall figure with silver-blue skin and deep, thoughtful eyes, finally broke the silence. His voice was calm but firm. "We watch the humans grow stronger every day. Their colonies spread fast and their technology moves forward like a wildfire." An elder from the Core Empire nodded slowly. "They come from a harsh world, one filled with dangers we cannot imagine. Yet they survive and even thrive there. This is not like any other species." A soft light flickered around the room as the youngest member, a Valari diplomat, spoke nervously. But what do we truly know about them? They have only recently entered our world. Could they be peaceful explorers or something else? Sarex's gaze didn't soften. The ancient texts warn us. They tell of a final challenge, a force that will change everything. These humans, they fit the signs perfectly. A quiet murmur spread among the leaders. Some shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The meeting felt heavy, as if the very walls held their breath. Finally, Sarex stood and raised his hand. We cannot wait. If we do nothing, this force will become unstoppable. Our only choice is to prepare, to act before it is too late. The room grew colder. Some leaders exchanged worried looks. They understood what Sarex meant. Action could mean war, and no one wanted that. Yet, the fear was real. Outside the station, stars twinkled like distant promises. But inside, shadows of doubt and fear stretched. Long far away on Earth, Captain Reina Torres received a secret message. It was brief, but its meaning was clear. They are deciding our fate. She looked out at the endless sky. We need to be ready, she said quietly. Her voice held the weight of a future no one could avoid. The message arrived quietly on Earth's command center, a single line, but it carried weight heavier than any starship. The signal came from the lost colony near the outer edges of known space. The last word from the crew was simple yet chilling. Warning. President Arya Kane sat alone in the Oval Room, staring at the screen. The faces of her advisors looked tense, but none dared to speak first. The truth was clear, something was happening, and humanity was no longer alone in the eyes of the galaxy. Outside, Earth's sky was calm, but beneath that calm, plans were being made. Captain Reina Torres stood before her crew aboard the Horizon Blade, her eyes steady and calm. We will not hide. We will not run, she said. We will show the galaxy who we are. Humans began to prepare, not just for defense, but for standing tall among the stars. Ships were rebuilt, new technologies tested, and alliances with distant colonies strengthened. Every system ready to face the unknown. Every soldier and scientist aware of the looming shadow. But the galaxy had already decided. The ancient council watched closely, their fear growing with every new human success. They whispered of humanity's unusual strength, how quickly humans learned, adapted, and survived. They are not just another race, one elder said quietly. They carry something different, something the stars themselves seem to respect. Humans, though unaware of all the eyes on them, felt the change. New messages came, some friendly, some cautious, some warning. In a quiet room on Earth, a young scientist decoded a piece of alien technology found on a remote world. The device revealed secrets, ancient star maps, unknown languages, and a message that spoke of balance, not destruction. The prophecy, the scientist murmured, it is not just a warning of war, it is a call for change. The story of humanity was becoming more than survival. It was becoming the story of hope, a hope that could unite worlds or divide them forever. And now, the stage was set for what was coming next. Darkness stretched across the space near the Orion system, like a quiet storm waiting to break. Suddenly, silence was shattered, not by explosions or chaos, but by a signal. A small human colony had sent a distress call. It was brief, filled with fear and urgency, and then it stopped. The galaxy held its breath. Many believed humans would retreat, that they would fold quietly in the face of growing pressure. But the truth was very different. On the bridge of the Horizon Blade, Captain Reina Torres stared at the flashing alerts. Her jaw was set with determination. We do not run, she said simply. We respond. Human fleets moved swiftly, not with anger, but with focus and purpose. Ships traveled faster than ever, carrying people determined to protect their homes and the future of their kind. Aliens watching from afar began to notice something unusual. Humans seemed to know the value of every moment, every breath. They moved with a strange kind of strength, born not just from skill but from hope. One alien commander whispered to his companion, "They fight not because they want to, but because they must. They carry the weight of their world in their hearts." Across star systems, news spread quickly. Humanity's spirit could not be broken. Some alien races, once cautious or even doubtful, started to think differently. They wondered if humanity was not a threat, but maybe a chance for change. Back on Earth, scientists and leaders watched the stars. They sent messages of peace, but also prepared for whatever was coming. The final war was no longer just a prophecy. It was becoming reality. And in the hearts of humans, a quiet promise grew stronger every day: to survive, to protect, and to shine brighter than the darkest night. Deep in a hidden laboratory on Earth, the soft glow of screens lit up the faces of scientists working through the night. They had finally decrypted an ancient text, a message long lost to time. The scroll was fragile, its words filled with secrets that could change everything. As the lead scientist read aloud, the room fell, silent. The prophecy was more than a warning, it was a story of balance. It spoke of a force that would rise not to destroy, but to protect. A force that would become the final hope for the galaxy. One line stood out: "The ones who end the shadow will first walk through it." This line stirred deep thoughts among the humans. They realized the prophecy was not about enemies. It was about a responsibility, a heavy duty to face challenges and bring peace, even when it seemed impossible. Meanwhile, the ancient council grew restless. They had expected a war, but they hadn't expected a chance for change. Some members wondered if fighting was the only way. Back on Earth, President Arya Kane made a bold decision. She sent a message, across the stars, a message of hope and peace. "We do not wish to be the end of this story. We want to be the new beginning." The message traveled far, reaching ears that had only heard fear before. Some alien worlds responded with hesitation, others with hope. But the council resisted. They feared losing control and clung to old fears. In quiet moments, Captain Reyna Torres thought about what the future might hold. She believed that humanity's true strength was not in their weapons or ships. It was in their willingness to face the unknown and choose hope. The galaxy was at a crossroads. The final battle was near, but it was no longer just about survival. It was about finding a new way, one that could bring light after the long shadow. The story of humanity was changing. From feared outsiders to possible saviors, the path ahead was uncertain but full of promise. The stars above the great planet Arcath sparkled like scattered diamonds. Slowly, ships from many corners of the galaxy gathered in silence, their lights reflecting hope and uncertainty. At the center of this gathering floated Earth's proudest warship, the Judgment. Its hull gleamed under the starlight, a symbol, not of fear, but of determination. Captain Reyna Torres stood on the bridge, her eyes steady as she looked out into the vastness. The moment had come. The final chapter of the long prophecy was about to unfold. Around her, crews prepared quietly. There was no shouting or chaos, only calm focus. They were not fighting to destroy, but to protect. To keep the promise humanity had made to itself and the galaxy. Voices came through the comms, some alien, some human. Allies from distant worlds sent words of support. Old enemies paused, sensing something greater than themselves. The sky above, Arcath began to glow as fleets moved into position. But this was not just a battle, it was a test. A chance to prove that the prophecy was not about doom, but about hope. As the captain gave her final order, her voice was clear, strong, and full of quiet courage. "For peace, we stand united." Light filled the void, but it was not a flash of destruction. It was a light of new beginnings. The ancient fears began to fade. The story was no longer about the end, but about what comes next. Hope, unity, and the future, shaped by those who dared to believe. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. The humans were no longer just survivors of a prophecy. They were the light that would guide everyone forward, and in that moment, The stars themselves seemed to shine, a little brighter,